Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Master Your Mindset podcast. I'm currently in Bali. We have chickens making their chicken noises out there. So if you hear any random noises, that's probably what it's going to be. We're just rolling with what we've got today. And I have a very cool guest on today, which I'm really excited to have a conversation with. We have Tayla Bubeck. Tayla is a business coach and mentor. And in actual fact, she's my business coach and mentor. So, Tayla, my aim for this podcast is to bring on guests who have seen their life for what it is and then wanted more and strived for more. So, the reason I like to introduce my guests to the podcast with their stories is because I want my audience to see that their desired life is possible, and I like to use other stories as proof. So, welcome to the Master Your Mindset podcast. First of all, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here, and I'm always honored whenever I get asked to be on podcasts. So I love it. So let's get into it. I'm excited.
Amazing. So, you're a business coach and mentor currently, but I know that you have transitioned a few times between a few different titles. I think I'm not so familiar on your story in all honesty. So I would love for you to tell us a bit about your story in terms of where you were versus where you are now and all of the in between to get you where you are today.
Yeah, for sure. So this could be a 5-hour story or a 2-minute story. So I will try to keep it short. But essentially, I am from Australia and I grew up in a very beautiful place. I live in Toowoomba. It's very lovely. I've had an amazing family growing up, and it's really funny. You can have all the things in life. You know, we were well off and I had a really great upbringing, and you can have everything and still I never went to university. I wasn't smart. I didn't do well in school. I was overweight, and it was just one of those things where it was like, I have nothing. My life is nothing. And I can remember when everyone was picking what they wanted to do in school, and I was like, I'm not good at anything. Like, I loved home ec, I loved sewing and cooking, and I loved business and IT. I loved those things and maths, but I was like, but I'm not great at anything. So I was always kind of, I had to make friends through my personality because I was overweight. So I had to have a really good personality, like hello, people pleasing, hello, just blending in and morphing and being a chameleon. And then also not knowing what I wanted to do. And all my friends were figuring out, I want to go be a lawyer. I want to go do this. And I'm like, I have no idea what I want to do with my life. And I was like, I'm just going to be an admin my whole life. And essentially that's it. I worked in retail jobs. I worked at law firms, like as admin, and all the things I worked in, retail, hospitality, everything, Blockbuster. I was the manager of Blockbuster. And then I worked at the university in admin, and I was like, this is it. Like, this is my life. And I was ready for that to be my life. I'd accepted that everyone else is going on gap years and going to uni, and I'm just stuck in admin, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with admin, but I was like, I don't have my thing. So my thing then became health and fitness because I started losing weight. And I lost weight very healthily and very unhealthily. And it gave me a sense of meaning, purpose, and drive in my life of, holy shit, there's something I'm good at. And it was like this moment of, wow, I'm actually really good at this. And then I started educating myself. I realized I did it very unhealthily. And then I started to actually properly educate myself about losing weight and all the things. So I lost around 38-ish kilos. It was like maybe a little bit more, but around that. And this was in 2010, 2011. So this was a long time ago. I'm old. I am 32. So this was, a long time ago. And that was in about 2011 that I lost all the weight. And then I started my Instagram in 2013. So Instagram was brand new. No one really knew what social media was. We'd all dabbled a little bit, but it was only Facebook and, like those types of things. So when Instagram came out, I was like, I'm going to create a secret account and I'm going to document my fitness journey. And it was literally just me documenting what I ate, the recipes that I was creating. I did the clean eating thing. I went through clean eating, then macros, then intuitive. Like I've done everything. But essentially it was like I found something I was really good at. So I just documented my life. And then that turned into me starting to help people for free. So then I started, once I had more education, obviously qualifications, I then started helping people lose weight. I then started helping people lose very large amounts of weight. And I wasn't doing anything to do with their exercise. And I wasn't looking at MyFitnessPal. It was all through their mindset. And I was like, I've got something here. I had women at like 140 kilos that got down to 100 kilos through me helping them with their mindset and their view and relationship with themselves. And I was like, I'm a magician. And I was like, how am I doing this? Like, I don't, and like, I knew what I was doing, but I also was like, I've got something special. I need to get this out to the world. I need to teach people that the limit in their life, it's never the food that's the problem. It's never the money that's the problem. It's never the partner, the community. Like, it's never those things that's the problem. It's always your relationship with yourself. And long story short, I was helping people in health and fitness, and I started getting I had eating disorders growing up and all throughout my 20s, and I started to actually suffer again with binge eating, and like there should probably be a trigger warning on this, but like bulimia as well. And it was at that point where I was like, I'm helping everyone else, but I can't help myself. So it was interesting. And then I was like, I've got to move away from health and fitness. So then I went into mindset, and I went and got help for my own, like what I was doing. I went and studied addiction. I went and studied under Gabor Mate. I went and like did lots of I did three or four different eating disorder qualifications, because I was like, there's more to it than like what's happening here with me. It was like I was helping everyone else, and then I went backwards, and I was like, what's going on? So it was a wild roller coaster. And then I realized the longer I stayed in the topic and discussion of health and fitness, it just wasn't really serving my evolution. And so I moved into mindset. So I've gone health and mindset to now business, because as I was helping mindset clients, I realized what I was helping a lot of people with was business. And I realized that a lot of people came to me because they saw my evolution of growing my business online, and that I was so successful coming from nothing, and this shy girl with no confidence, overweight, didn't want to be on camera, to now this out there personality that had built such a strong personal brand. They were like, and making multiple six figures. They were like, how did you do it? Like, and they were really like, I love you. I love how you do business, and I want to work with you. And I was like, well, I work on mindset, but sure, we can dabble with some business. Like, I can, help you with what I know at least. But I didn't call myself a business coach. I was like, I'll help you, but I'm still just mindset coaching. And then I decided to get my own business coach in 2020, and the rest is snowballed from there. I've worked with many business coaches. I've studied so much. I've done so much research, and now all the strategy, marketing, content, and it's all so fun. But yeah, I still really do love helping the human behind the business, because as we know, humans love to sabotage. So when we can understand the human psyche, everything else fits into place. So it's like health and fitness. You can have a great strategy, but if you're not the type of person who can apply the strategy, it won't work. Same with business. So you can get money, but if you make it once, can you replicate that? Can you keep compounding on that? So everything really does come down to like the human you're being, which is the relationship with yourself. And that is me talking for about 29 minutes. I don't know how long that was. I'm sorry. I tried to keep it short.
No. That's actually really, really cool, because I feel like now I've heard your story, and I came into your world like recently, actually. But there's a lot that I actually want to say here. First of all, I kind of laughed a little bit when you were talking about like the sabotaging, because I was literally plugging into you this morning and laughing about me self-sabotaging anyway. So that's a topic for another day. First of all, okay, another thing, just as a little side note, when you were saying you're a magician, because I fully agree, when you're like, oh, I'm a magician, the only thing I could think about was you're a wizard, Harry. And I'm like, oh my God, I actually can't say that because I've never watched Harry Potter, so I'm the last person that should be able to say that.
Oh my gosh, that's okay. Unpopular opinion, I actually think Harry Potter's overrated. I like it, I like it, but watch me come get hate. Come hate on me, guys. Like, I like it. I do like Harry Potter, but I do think it's a little bit overrated.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's why I haven't seen it or watched it or desired to watch it. But anyway, that was the side note.
Now that everyone on the internet's going to hate us.
So firstly, I want to say I also actually resonate with that part of when you were in school and you were like good at things, but you weren't like you didn't want to go into this. You were trying to figure it all out. Everyone else around you was in full understanding of what they wanted to do, and they wanted to do the university or they wanted to go into a trade or whatever it was. I fully understand. And it got to the point for me where I literally fled and I moved across the world to try and get away from all of that embarrassment because I felt like a dropout. So, not that that is your story, but I can relate to a degree of what sort of happened around that age. And then
Well,
also,
I felt like that too. I felt like the embarrassment too because I came from a great family. And both my brother and I didn't go to university. And we've always kind of had this feeling of we've had such privilege. We should be like, it was forced, like the people around us, like their sons were going to be lawyers and doctors and surgeons. And me and my brother were like, we're not successful. Like we're not, and that was what we thought success was because we didn't have the day and age, because this is what, over 10, 15 years ago, we didn't have because I finished school in 2008. That's a long time ago. So like we didn't have the thought of you can make a career online. That was never a thing. Even when I started my Instagram, I never knew that was a thing. I never knew personal development work was even a thing when I started my Instagram account. And it's really interesting to look back on that now to think that's what I thought a failure was. I was like, I'm a failure. And I was embarrassed about that because my parents' friends would always talk about, their kids and brag to mum and dad. And mum and dad were like, well, we can't brag about it. They didn't say that, but I felt like they can't brag about their kids because we're not doing anything good. Like we're not doing anything successful with our lives. So yeah, I totally relate to that.
Isn't that interesting that we would deem something like doctor, lawyer, engineer, accountant, like all of those things successful? But to be honest, if I went down that route and I went to go be a doctor, I would be like, I'm so successful, but I would fucking hate it. I would not be good at it and I would hate it. So like, actually, am I living a successful life in my own eyes? So it's interesting that we deem that everything is like deemed as successful, like that type of job, but then really we need to understand that we all have our own meanings of what is successful for our own lives.
It's just conditioning, right? And like we're conditioned to think that those are the types of jobs you need to be in to be respected. And I think that's what it is. It's the respect of success. And that's what we're really seeing with the rise of people deciding that their life can be for more. Like what if you want to be famous on TikTok for making clay mugs, go do that. If you want to be famous for having a podcast, go do that. If you want to be famous for posting videos of your cat, you've got the possibility, but there's still the stigma around but that's not respectable, but you know what I mean? So we're still breaking that conditioning today, I think. And I think that like this generation is doing, great, that we're all more self-aware, that we understand projections and we understand that we don't need to live our life for someone else. But yeah, it's like, I think it's still around today, but back then, like this conversation wasn't even a thing. They wouldn't even think about that back then. And yeah, it's really interesting, like doctors and things like that. I feel like you really have to love that job to love that job. It's like business, there's some traits in business that you have to have if you want to be like multi-millionaire, billionaire. Like you have to have some unadmirable traits, and people are too focused on balance that they can't ever accept that. So like for us, a doctor might not look admirable with how much they work in that, but potentially for them, they really love it. So it's really cool, like how we all have different perspectives on what success actually looks like in life. Because for someone, being a mother is the most success you could ever have in your life. And then for another person, owning a multi-seven-figure business could be the most success they could have. Do you know what I mean? And for someone, it's their relationship. So yeah, it's cool conversation.
Yeah, 100%. I really love that. I really love that. And then also, I love your drive as well. And just drive to learn the things that you are all of a sudden interested when you find that you're interested in this. For example, like the health, you're like, okay, I'm actually good at this. Let's go move into teaching myself about all of these things. So for me, what I see that is quite common is a lot of people that know where they are and they have this vision for their life, but it's that in between part, it's that journey part where sometimes they can get a bit stuck. So I would love to know if you have any advice or anything to say to the people that are having a current wobble within their life at the moment, even leading towards their goals and their dreams and things.
Yeah, so with that, it's like I want to touch on the part where you said how I'm really driven to look into certain topics and really love them, and then I'll come to your question. But with that, I was just saying about how in the schooling system, or we don't even have to talk about that, just society, how it's like if we're not book smart, we're not smart. But like I'm very intelligent, I just didn't learn well in school. So now when I go to learn something, I genuinely learn because I'm interested in the topic, and I don't learn to make more money or to make me successful or to like give me a qualification. I learn because that's a genuine interest. And I feel like when you can follow that, the money follows that. And I think that's where the education system gets it wrong. And that's where we see people with, oh, I'm not intelligent, I'm not smart. But it's like, no, you are in a different way. And that's why a lot of people have been diagnosed with things like ADHD and all of that. And it's like, you just learn differently. Like you just have a different perspective on things, a different way you learn, a different way that you love to do things, and your interests might be different. So that's why I'm so driven, is because that's genuine interest. Like that's a fucking value of mine, is like, when I love something, I want to know about it. I want to explore it. I want to connect to that topic. So that's kind of what I just want to mention that. Now, if someone's kind of, you said, in like a slump on their journey, as in, so do you mean that someone might potentially, just say they're trying to get somewhere in their career or find friendships or, set better boundaries or something like that, and you're talking about like are they more so like frustrated in their journey? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, well, someone who maybe like has, because, yeah, well, you kind of answered it in a way as well, but we could go deeper into it. But someone who has, like, they are where they are, they know that there's more for them, they are wanting to show for more, but there's those little points and wobbles in life where maybe they use that as an excuse to just stop and then not actually strive for whatever it is they want. So it could be any of those things. It could be something smaller, it could be something bigger. So just like when someone's going through a bit of wobble in their life, what would you say to them to continue forward rather than letting that be an excuse to just stop everything altogether?
Yeah, okay, got it. So what I would say to that is the wobbles for me are the most beautiful learning opportunity. So the wobbles for me have always been, how do I strengthen this part of myself that doesn't feel confident here? Because if we literally strip it down, everyone wants confidence in their journey. How do you get confidence? You need competence. You need to be competent at what you're doing to have confidence. So if you can actually strip that back and say, this wobble, it's just a little hurdle, you just have to step over it. But what are we doing running? If we're running over a hurdle and we trip, we get back up and we try it again and again and again until we get it. It's like we're all playing the game of life. No one's getting out of here alive. And you have to keep trying to beat the boss until you can get to your next level. But you'll never get to the next level if you just quit the first time you die in the game. You have to keep going back and learning what you took from that first round. Okay, cool. The boss always ducks left on this video game. So now next time I've got to go right. And you just collect data every wobble you have. Every time you get a little bit shaken up, you use that to strengthen that part, not confirm. Most people use it to confirm, see, that's why I'll never lose the weight. That's why I'll never be successful. It's like, no, 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 no. You're being invited to stop your usual patterns, and you're being invited to create a new pathway for yourself, to create a new story for yourself. And if you let that be confirmation instead of, oh, I'm just not that competent there, I need to try again, or maybe a different path or something, you need to do it again. It's like, which one are you picking? Are you picking the limited mindset, or are you picking the liberation of, hey, the more times I quote fail, it's never a fail, but the more times that things don't go the way I want, the more times I'm figuring out exactly how it's not going to work. Isn't that amazing? You're knocking off more ways that it won't work. It's like, you've got to trial and error if you want to get there. Like, nothing will ever work on the first time, most likely. Like, you can't just say you want something and then have it. You've got to, it's like manifestation. We're always manifesting. And it's like, you've got to actually take the action. And when things don't go the way you want, you got to surrender that that's the process. And surrender to your path in life is not meant to be all sunshine and rainbows. You're not going to feel happy all the time. You're not going to feel motivated. You're going to have hard days, but the journey really is the most beautiful part of it. When you get to that end goal, I promise you're not going to be happy at the end goal. You're going to have a bit of dopamine for a little bit. Fuck yeah, I got my goal. Guess what? Goalpost always moves. If you are forever chasing horizons, you will never be satisfied in life. That's why you have to find that's why what you said about me learning and why I'm so driven, it fulfills me to learn and challenge myself. I get nothing out of going and studying in my own free time, except for the fact that fulfills me in my journey of life. And that propels me forward because I'm enjoying every moment, the good, the bad, everything. So that's my answer.
100%. There's so many like angles I could like tackle everything you just said at, but there's a few things that I really want to touch on. So I really loved that you touched on the confidence is competence, because it's something that I heard you say recently in one of your calls, and it really stuck with me. It's a view, it's a way or a view that I hadn't looked at it ever before, but it's something that I totally agree with. And then something that you also mentioned is the data collection. So when I heard about like, you can use this as data collection, I don't know who I heard it from. I've heard it from a lot of coaches and a lot of people, but I literally took that so seriously that when I was on the boat, I was working through this specifically, this whole thing. And I was like, okay, that's data collection. Okay, that's data collection. Okay, that's data collection. And I would say this out loud. And one of the girls was like, you're like a freaking robot and you're like taking data off of people. And I'm like, no, it's not like that. It's like when things are, it's like when you say there's no failures or anything like that, whether it's a good piece of data or a bad piece of data, or I mean, not bad, there's no bad, but you're always looking at everything as it is data collection, so that you're not going to say, oh, I failed, or oh, it's bad, or oh, this sucks, or whatever it is. But that I think
because that's where people come from, a subjective lens. So it's like subjective versus objective. So you want people get caught in the subjective because they make the data that they collect, they're confirming their stories instead of the data they collect just being another way it didn't work. And it's not personal. They just need to do it again or change to a different way. So it's like, what way are you collecting the data? Are you using the data to confirm your narratives of, oh my God, I'm not worthy, I'm a piece of shit, I can never have that, that's not possible for me? Are you using it for that? Because that's unserving for you. So that is negative data collection. And that's when most people do it. Everyone who says, oh, I want freedom, I'm like, okay, if you say you value freedom, I'm going to look at your life and I bet you $1 million you've created a life of restriction and no growth. And you say you value freedom, I would say you value the opposite. And people can't understand that. And this is a little bit more advanced, so like we won't get into it, but it's like literally say what your core values are and then go complete opposite. And that's actually what you'll have in your life. Guaranteed.
This is actually why I was going to touch on core values anyway. I said I could go all different angles, but this is why I believe so much in core values and knowing what your core values are, and then actually utilizing them and living by them, doing little things in your day to feel that way, because that is going to be the ultimate fulfillment. But if you have core values and you're actually not living by them or actually not doing the thing, then you're doing the opposite, right? You're doing the opposite of what you're actually wanting in life, and you're doing that. That's a you thing.
Well, they're doing the opposite of what they're wanting, but actually their unconscious is wanting that, which you can't consciously see that. That's why you do this work to see that.
100%. And then you said a lot of things, and you know what? I'm just going to keep the conversation rolling because it's just going really well. I want to talk a bit about you said a lot of things in your latest podcast episode, and it was about the power of choice and how your compounding actions is the actual key to changing your life or, growth. So I would love for you to speak a little bit more about that, because that is kind of what this podcast is about as well, where we are making we don't want to complicate it. We want to simplify it. We want to make everything as simple as it gets to be. But I see a lot of people, and even within myself, like complicating things every so often. So let's speak about like that, the power of choice and the compounding actions.
Yeah, I love this so much. And it's like everyone's looking for that cheap trick, right? Or that magic trick of like, okay, if I just find this book that tells me the 3-step process, that's how I'm going to improve my life. Okay, if I just watch that reel that shows me 7 ways to improve my life, fuck yeah, I've done something. And it's like we're looking for something to just be so much more complicated and outside of ourselves, when do you know what the real answer is? It's exactly what we talked about before. Keep collecting fucking data and keep moving. You are compounding with every choice that you make. And every time you're inconsistent, guess what? You're consistent to your inconsistency. So you actually are pretty consistent with your inconsistency. So it's like, actually, let's have a look at this. The way that you're going to get results in your life with anything, eating healthy for one salad is not going to make you healthy. It's a compounding thing every single day, making a choice for the next meal to be healthy. And guess what? You're going to have a donut sometimes. That's going to happen. But what do you do next? Do you keep looking backwards and beat yourself up about that? Or do you say consistency is not eating a salad for every meal or eating healthy every meal? Consistency is even when you go off track, even when you have a day off, even when you have a day you feel lazy or don't feel so well, you still choose to keep moving forward. That's it. You don't look backwards. You don't beat yourself up. You can look back to assess and reflect, absolutely, but not from a sense of, I'm going to look back and beat myself up and confirm why I'm not where I want to be. It's like, no, collect it as data as to why you're not where you want to be, but don't make it mean that you're not going to get to where you want to be. So the way that I see it is I'm looking at Jessie's profile because I want her to, I want her reel on 7 steps to do this. That's the thing that's going to change everything. It's like, that's not going to change shit until you actually choose in your life to change something. Go fucking hire her, because I bet you watching that reel has done nothing for your life. That's why people can listen to this podcast and they're still going to be the same after this podcast. Some people are going to listen to it and they're going to have a life-changing moment and go change their life. Other people, guaranteed, Tracy listening right now is not going to do shit. And it's because people they want the answer to be something else. They want me to give them a 5-step framework. And it's like, life does not work like that. Life is very fucking simple when we can understand how simple it gets to be. Stop looking for a different answer. The answer is the answer. It's compounding consistency. Even if you get off track, even if you do one thing that doesn't serve you, okay, cool. Keep moving forward. What do we do to move forward? How do we not beat ourselves up? Don't go into like the shame spiral of, I didn't do this. It's like, you're a human. Let yourself have human moments and choose to do better. Choose to move forward because you genuinely love yourself enough that you want to move forward.
Wow. You hear that, Tracy?
Yeah, Tracy. No, I'm kidding, Tracy. I love you.
Honestly, like we all have Tracy moments, and I for sure have Tracy moments, and this is literally why I have you as my mentor. But yeah, I was going to say, don't be a Tracy, but like be a Tracy, but just rethink your decisions and rethink the things that you're doing in your life and start actually living a life that you want to live,
Well, Tracy, be honest with yourself. It's okay. But everyone has a day one. You are never going to find someone further ahead than you make fun of you for your day one. You are never going to find a YouTuber who has 5 million subscribers make fun of someone doing their first video. Who's going to make fun of that person? The person sitting at their home who hates their job, not giving a shit about any, like just projecting onto everyone, right? The people ahead of you are here to help you. Let us help you. This podcast is educational to help you. Let this help you. Let Jessie help you. Let other people around you help you, because honestly, when you get honest with yourself and choose to do better, it's like, get honest. Are you happy with the person you're being? It's not a bad thing if you say no. I do checks with myself all the time, and I'm like, I don't beat myself up. I'm like, yeah, I realized where I lacked integrity there. Oh, I noticed where I wasn't living in line with one of my values. Oh, I noticed where there's a shadow there. I noticed this. I noticed this. And I just clean it up. I choose to do better because I genuinely care about myself.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I really want to ask you this question, and it's because I think I know what you're going to say. I definitely have my own opinions on this, but I would love to ask so the audience can hear what you have to say. Do you think you have to go through a breaking point to do personal development?
No. And yes and no. I think some people do. I think some people need to get to their rock bottom before they will ever change anything. That's where most people do it, and most people wait. I would say the most beneficial and most giving act of self-love you could ever fucking, I'm not here for I don't like the whole self-love movement. I think I don't think we should accept everything about ourselves. I think we should want to do better. Like that, and that will probably get some unpopular opinions, but like that's what I genuinely think. Why should we love every aspect when we can do better? Anyway, off the topic. I feel like some people, they just have to. They don't have the support system, the environment, the internal ability to be able to do it before they hit rock bottom. I think that some people it will naturally have to get until they're at their fucking worst, until they change. That's like when you see people don't change their eating habits until they have a heart attack. Why is that? It's humans that we think we only have to look at things when things are bad. The most intelligent, most successful, most elite fucking minds in the world know that you never wait for something to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You mitigate it before it's a fucking problem. Mm-hmm. So would I do that? No. Does it happen sometimes? Sometimes humans are wild. I'm amazing at understanding the human psyche. I still don't know everything about myself. I'm still a student to myself, and I will be forever. And sometimes something will sneak up on me and I'm like, fuck, that's a problem. And I'm like, how did I let that get a problem? And I'm like, shit, I just got to clean it up. And I'll do it. But I never get to the breaking point. Even with me, when I was like in the middle of like my binge eating and that like really bad, I would say I realized it before it was at the point of like needing to be like hospitalized and stuff. Like I was able, just because of the mindset I have, but I would say a lot of people lack the internal ability to be able to do that. It's not a bad thing. There is no shame or judgment or there's nothing bad about it. But I do think that it's more beneficial, of course, for people to do it before it gets a problem. Because imagine if you're helping people where things are a problem, you're always focusing on the problems. You're always in that negative that like ick energy. It feels really heavy. Imagine working with a coach to elevate your life. Imagine how freeing and light and fun the personal development work would get to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would feel so much better on your soul. Like everything would just feel so much better and cleaner for you if you were able to work on things before they're a problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion. There's no right or wrong, and sometimes it is what it is. But I think any time is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Whether like even me, I still do this work.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't sit in my journal or anything like that, because just the way that I live my life, I do the work every single day. Like everyone's like, what are you navigating? I'm like, nothing. Like, because I'm just the person that's always navigate. Like I don't need to navigate things because my process has now become a way of being. But there's a point in your journey when it is really honing in on boundaries, honing in on communication, honing in on relationships, honing in on money, and they serve their part. And you can't bypass the steps, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, 100%. I also I feel the same way. Like I've been thinking about this a lot more, and I think that a lot of people and a lot of conversations that I've had is with people that have had that breaking point, and that was the pivotal moment for them to get into personal development and really just start thriving in that way. But I also agree that like you don't have to start personal development when you are, if you have not had a breaking point. There is room for expansion, there is room for self-inquiry, there is room for doing that guided with a coach, there is room for all of this. You don't actually have to wait until this point, because I feel, well, I've had a couple conversations where someone's like, is this something that I should do? Because like I feel fine, I feel fine in life, but also like I haven't really broken yet. Maybe there's some things that I can look at in my life where they could have potentially been breaking points. But what I say to those people is like 100%, this is for you. This is for everyone, whether you've had a breaking point or not. And I really like when you mentioned that some people just have to have that breaking point because they don't have all of the, you know, things around them externally and internally to be able to actually go through with all of that without having that breaking point first. I really, really, really love that.
Well, and it's even like, you know, the reason that we've all had breaking points, and then that's been the reason that we've got to where we are. That's why we become coaches, to help people not have to do that. The point is, I'm a mentor and a coach because I don't want people to wait until they're at their worst point. I want people come to me to be elevated. People don't come to me to be fixed. I never, if you are doing personal development work to fix yourself, you have lost the whole point of personal development work. And I literally wrote a post about this the other day. It's like everyone uses personal development work as a way to prove to themselves that they are broken.
Mm-hmm.
And I do personal development work as a way to see where I'm not free. And that is that. That's all it is. To see where I'm not free and to learn who I am not. That's why I do it. And I love it. And I love understanding myself. And I'll forever be a student of myself because it is the most fulfilling work. When I have such a beautiful gift, now I get to give it away. That's what I do. My gift is I give it away, and that is true service. That is true love. That is like, why would I keep that to myself? And same with you. You have a beautiful gift to work with people. Don't keep that to yourself. Like, go and give it to the world, gift it to the world. And that's when you're truly selfless, is when you're in service. But you have to go through the selfish part of having your own journey first before you can do that for other people.
100%. I totally agree with everything. And I love it. I love it. This podcast is something that you're going to have to listen on repeat to let everything land.
I will be. I'll be coming back and getting content from it, guys. I'm like, damn, that was good.
100%. Just a last final question that's a little bit of fun, doesn't have to be anything to do with mindset or personal development. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Yeah, so my biggest pet peeve is people eating. I'm one of those people that if my brother is in the same room as me eating, my ears are on fire. And it's like, I'm a very regulated human being, and it's like rage, full on rage. I'm like, I need to remove myself from this room right now. But yeah, I would say people eating, but it's only select people.
Oh,
like,
select.
Yeah, it's like it's only my dad, my brother, and my partner.
What? You don't eat in the same room as your partner?
No, I do, but I don't like it. And people in movie theaters. Like, don't sit there with Pringles and shake the whole packet around while the movie's playing and it's a silent scene. Have respect. So that's my pet peeve.
Seems like a boy thing. Like there's these.
Yeah, it was a male in the cinema as well. Yes. Yeah.
So do you think it's just a male thing, or do you think these people eat very aggressively?
I think that they have very strong jaws. And their jaws like move in a way that like I can't explain it, but I've looked it up and I actually think there's something maybe wrong with like me, that it's like I get really triggered by it because like it's not normal how like it's just rage. I'm a very regulated person, and it's like that's the one thing. Like I'm even like road rage, like I don't even get that. Like I'm very calm, and it's like, yeah. This is the one thing.
Yeah. That's so funny. I was actually thinking about what I would consider, because I don't really ever think about this, but I think the reason that I'm thinking about pet peeves is because something happened the other day when I was coming into Bali and I was extremely tired. It was not a flight that I really enjoyed unexpectedly. And I'm a person who's like loves hugs, physical touch, all of the things, but I was standing in the line to customs line or whatever, and this family, I'm not going to say, obviously, being in an airport, there's a lot of different cultures that have a lot of different ways and beliefs and what they think is rude and what they don't, and all of that. Fine. But like this family was behind me, and the woman was like literally right like on me. And I'm really cautious. I've just come from South Africa where I'm constantly cautious of my belongings and my things, and I had my bag on my back and I kept trying to like swing it so it was like okay. And like, she I started telling Nate, and then Nate looked over and could not stop laughing because she was literally like hunched over my back and like kind of like in the exact shape of what I am, but like over with my bag by
Oh
her
my
belly.
God.
I was just
What
like,
was she doing? Was she just trying to get a bit of rest? She didn't want to stand up.
she was looking over my shoulder at something ahead of me. And I know her, she didn't have ill intentions. Like she was genuinely just being weird. She wasn't being bad.
Just a genuine weirdo.
So I moved to the side and stood really, really close to Nate. And then all of a sudden, she's just like, it's just like us three peas in a pod. Like she's standing next to me. I'm in the middle when Nate's on the other side. And I'm like, spatial awareness is important, people. Like have some spatial awareness. So I think for me, that is definitely one of my most recent pet peeves anyway.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yeah, airports are wild, man. It's like all rules go out the window of just human human decency just go out the window. It's like a whole different space.
Totally agree. Wow. Thank you so much for coming on and having this conversation, Tayla. It has actually been so much fun. I feel like everyone who is listening should save this, go back, listen on repeat, because different things land at different times, and really just take this on board. So I really, really appreciate for this whole conversation and your opinions and your riffs about everything, because I think they're so valuable. I would love for you to tell us where we can find you. I'm sure everyone already knows because I plug you all the time on my Instagram and things, but let us know so those people that haven't can go and find you.
Thank you very much. So you can join my Instagram, which is where I'm most present. Come watch my stories. I'm super fun. I'm a bit of like a gothic Barbie. Like I love my black and metal music and tattoos, but I also love to be like, girly and cute. So come watch me. My Instagram is Tayla Bubeck _. I'm sure it will be you can spell my name in like the podcast name or something like that. Come find me, come hang out. I'm mostly business and mindset, but I do have one course that is like strictly mindset. If you wanted mindset from me, you can totally go get that. But if not, just consume my content, consume my stories, and come hang out and say hey. And I have a free community where I've got free masterclasses. So come watch them.
And I'll also link your podcast as well because there's a lot of good stuff in that.
Yeah.
I'll link everything in the show notes.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. That would be amazing. And I will see everyone who come tell me that you found me from this podcast. Slide into my DMs.
Yeah, 100%. All righty. Thank you so much.
Thank you.